It's pool season here in Las Vegas. We'll tell you how to take necessary precautions and keep everyone having fun in the sun.
And there may be good news for future students here at UNLV. Will the stress of finding parking spots soon be a thing of the past?
Plus, Monica Madrano brings us all the national headlines, including presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's recent visit to Las Vegas. Studio G starts right now.
Welcome to Studio G on our last live show of the semester. I'm Masley Maslow.
And I'm Chelsea Bangle.
2 people are dead and a child is in critical condition as the issues with roadway safety here in Clark County continue. The deaths occurred in 2 separate incidents, the first occurring late Wednesday night when a man attempted to cross all 6 lanes of northbound Interstate I-15. Nevada Highway Patrol said the 50-year-old was struck by multiple vehicles. The interstate at Russell Road was closed for much of the night and reopened to traffic just before dawn. The second death occurred just hours ago in a crash involving a motorcycle and 1 other vehicle. The motorcyclist was killed on site and an 11-year-old inside the vehicle was taken to the hospital with critical injuries. The 2 others inside the vehicle suffered minor injuries as well. This is the 23rd fatal collision already this year.
Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush is being attacked this morning for a move he made nearly 10 years ago. The report states that the former Florida governor invested over $1 million from the state pension fund into Movie Gallery, a film rental company that offers X-rated films. The thousands of emails were recently released and uncovered what the report is calling a strained relationship between Bush and religious rights. Most of the criticism is coming from social conservatives, who were rallied together by American Family Association founder Donald Wendelman. Bush defended his investment, maintaining that he had made the most profitable investment choice for taxpayers regardless. The state sold the shares back in 2006 after the Movie Gallery stock performance began to slip. And Bush isn't the only presidential candidate making headlines. We go now to Monica Madrano in the newsroom for all this week's top national stories. Monica?
Thanks, Chelsea. Hillary Clinton is pushing a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. Earlier this week, Clinton was in Nevada, surrounded by young Americans, and called for comprehensive immigration reform.
I will fight for comprehensive immigration reform and a path to citizenship for you and for your families across our country. I will fight to stop partisan attacks on the executive actions that would put dreamers, including those with us today, at risk of deportation. And if Congress continues to refuse to act, as president, I would do everything possible under the law to go even further.
In 2008, Clinton didn't even support driver's licenses for undocumented immigrants. Immigration activists have long anticipated a new approach. Republican presidential candidate Carly Fiorina recently spoke out against Clinton's stance on this controversial topic.
She's pandering. I think we need to start with some basics. You know, we need to secure the border. It hasn't been secured under George W. Bush or Barack Obama. It needs to be secured because the problem just keeps getting worse if we don't secure it. By the way, we should secure the northern border as well as the southern border. I've spent a lot of time in New Hampshire lately, and they're very concerned about a heroin epidemic, and the drugs are coming across the northern border. So our enemies know our border is porous. We got to secure it. We got to fix the legal immigration system, which has been broken for decades.
Fiorina also said she would support a path to legal status for the 11 million undocumented immigrants currently in the United States, but only after the legal immigration system was fixed. Nearly 4,000 National Guard troops were sent to Baltimore last week during the riots and protests. A Maryland National Guard official said that the activated troops have now left. There have been 486 arrests in Baltimore since April 23rd, all in relation to the protests against police brutality. Former House Speaker Jim Wright has died. Wright served 2 years as Speaker and as World War II veteran. On Wednesday, Nancy Pelosi called him a person of deep courage, brilliant eloquence, and complete mastery of the legislative process. He was 92. For all of you fast food lovers, Wendy's is in the process of selling more than 600 of its U.S. and Canadian restaurants to franchises. Wendy's CEO Emil Brolick says the sales should generate cash and reduce expenses. Wall Street was excited about the news because Wendy's stocks were up more than 4% as of yesterday. The company also intends to sell its bakery business as well. I'm Monica Medrano, Chelsea and Asley, back to you.
Thanks, Monica. Coming up after the break, reporter Nicole Reynolds sits down with U.S. Representative Dina Titus. Stay tuned.
I really like dance club the best, and football is my second favorite.
We take kids on hikes, we take them to the Springs Preserve, we take them on career exploration field trips, so they're going everywhere in our city and our community to see what is out there for them. What we want for the kids in our programs is the same you would want for your own kids.
To learn more about the program,
nearly 3,000 abused and neglected children live in foster care in Clark County because they cannot live safely at home. The CASA program is here to help these children live in safe, permanent homes. By volunteering with CASA, you can make a difference by becoming the voice for these children. Apply now at casalasvegas.org.
Welcome back. Today I'm joined with Congresswoman Dina Titus. Thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
Now, I read on your website you actually taught at UNLV for 34 years. And tell me about that transition going from being in a classroom and teaching about government to actually being a part of government.
Well, you're right. I spent 34 years here in the political science department and enjoyed every minute of it. I taught American government classes, state politics, elections, and women in politics, so I'm kind of practicing what I preached. You know, it was interesting. Nevada legislature meets every other year just for 4 months, so I could take the spring semester off without pay and then teach the rest of the time. And I think students appreciated the fact that I could tell them what really is happening, not just what the book says. And I think being a political scientist and having dealt with the public made me a better elected official.
And you've also served in the state senate as well as the U.S. House of Representatives. Can you tell me a little bit about the difference between the two, actually serving for both of them?
Well, yes. I enjoyed my time in the state senate. In fact, I was the minority leader. The Democrats were in the minority. The difference between that and Washington is that we had only 21 members of the Senate. Now in the House of Representatives, I'm one of 435. There I was a leader, and when I started in the House, even though I'd served those 20 years, I started as a freshman. So those two things were very different. Also in the state legislature, it was not nearly as partisan. The differences were more north versus south or urban versus rural. But in Washington, things are very partisan, and that's one of the things that people are frustrated about. There's so much gridlock, you don't get much done.
Now, you mentioned that you taught women in politics. Now, especially amongst the younger generation, there's this research of speaking about feminism. What was it like to be a woman, and how was it different serving against male counterparts?
Well, I did teach women in politics, and I thought that it was my role to encourage young women to get involved. Too often they kind of leave the class officers or the elected officials to their men counterparts, and I don't think that's right. We need more women involved, because when women are there, it not only changes the policy agenda, we talk about different things, but it also changes the process. We have a different way of making decisions. Don't let anybody tell you, though, that there's not a glass ceiling in politics, just like in any field. We've made tremendous gains. In fact, since I've been in Congress, the 100th woman has been elected. Wow. Now, that's great, but still it's only 1/4 of the House. And remember, we're 1/2 of the population. One of the things that always kind of frustrated me was that reporters are very sexist, and they will talk to men about issues like tax reform or nuclear war. When they talk to women, they always want to talk about family, fashion, and fertility. And so one time, this was a woman reporter too, she commented at some debate that I was wearing the same shapeless long suit. Well, I like that suit. I bought it in several colors. But the point is, she would have never commented on some tacky tie that the guy was wearing.
And what other, as far as when it comes to making decision-making or making decisions, how have you faced any backlash with that?
Well, you have to kind of fight. You know how it is. I'm sure it's the same way in the television industry. I believe women have to work harder to get ahead and be smarter to get ahead. And so we just tend to do that. But when we're in positions of power, like I was at the state legislature, I became kind of one of the good old boys. And, you know, but having women there, women tend to be more cooperative. Women tend to be more inclusive. Women have a bigger group to draw from. Men tend to be more cliquish and make their decisions on the golf course and not at the kitchen table.
So, President Obama has proposed to make the first 2 years of community college free. Can you tell me how you kind of feel or your opinion on that?
Well, I'm very supportive of that. I have been supportive of increasing access to college educations for everybody, because it used to be a high school degree was what you needed to get ahead. And now that's just a requirement. You really need a college degree to be successful in the global marketplace. You've got to be able to compete, and having that college degree is pretty much a necessity. So I think the more we can provide access, the better. I have supported increased student loans, lower interest rate loans, more scholarships in the STEM fields. But this is a good idea. The first 2 years of community college would be free, but students have to earn it. It's kind of like the Millennium Scholarship here in Nevada. You have to keep a certain grade point average, make progress towards your degree. So it's a partnership. Federal government would pay 3/4, state pay 1/4. I think it would be great.
Now, another thing that you really fought for was immigration and the deferred action. And now it's been about a year, I believe, since it's been in full force. How do you feel like that's really grown since then?
Well, I think it's very important. The district I represent is the most diverse in the state, so we have a large Asian population and a large Hispanic population. So immigration reform that keeps those families together, I think, is essential. I've supported it. I've fought for it. We do a lot of DACA applications through our office. In fact, we're the only office that has software on our computer, so we can help you file instantly when you come in the office, and you don't have to deal with a lot of different agencies, a lot of different forms.
Now, finally, before we go, if you can give any advice to anyone, maybe not just going into politics, any field that might be male-dominated, what advice would you give to them?
Well, don't give up. Follow your dreams. It is possible, and you can do it. You know, and more women are going into law, into medicine, and into politics. So, and also, I would say, come do an internship in my office.
Well, thank you so much for being here today and taking time out of your busy schedule for us.
My pleasure.
And summer is here, and you know what that means, pool season. Chelsea Bengal tells us how you can enjoy the weather while keeping everyone safe.
That's right, Nicole. Temperatures are rising, and Henderson and Las Vegas firefighters are joining forces to ensure the community is aware of the dangers that arise during this time. I got a close look at their campaign and how they are making sure their message gets out.
Hi, how are you? Good. My name's Todd Inglesby. I'm with Las Vegas Fire and Rescue.
Firefighters are going door to door to reach out to the community to warn them of the dangers that exist around the pool.
We want to make people aware that the dangers of having pools and as they relate to kids, and we want to have 0 fatalities in the Las Vegas Valley.
So we're doing a campaign called Safe Pools Rule. We have teamed up with Henderson firefighters because it's a very effective program. We're looking to get this message out valley-wide. Our position is that the only acceptable drownings are no drownings, and that we believe that these accidental drownings are 100% preventable. In case you're not familiar with the A, B, C's, and D's, the A is for adult supervision. B, of course, is for barriers, and the barriers keep small children, particularly toddlers, away from the pool. The C is for classes, so in the event that it does happen or an accident happens, that people are trained in CPR. And then the D is for devices, and that would be for children to have things like life jackets, water wings, things that allow them to have personal flotation.
It's a really incredible thing to be able to go up and knock on somebody's door on duty as a firefighter. The first reaction is when they ask, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. We're here to talk to you about these drowning prevention things. So often it's thought of as this chaotic event, screaming and splashing. It isn't. And for us as firefighters, this is our opportunity to get ahead of and prevent these 100% horrific and preventable instances where children, for just a few seconds, and we hear that so many times, we turned our back for just a second. I went to answer the phone. It just takes moments. And already this year alone, we've seen instances where we've had a 3-year-old in the city of Henderson near drowning event, and a 4-year-old in the city of Las Vegas that did lose their life. And it changes families. Not only the loss of that child, but the entire family structure is devastated. For us as first responders, it is one of the most horrific scenes to respond to.
Anything that we can do together that raises awareness, particularly for preventable injuries or death, we should be doing everything we can to make that happen.
Absolutely.
According to the Southern Nevada Health District, there have been 14 submersion incidents and 1 fatal drowning already this year. To learn more of the Safe Pool Rule or how to make your pool safe, visit LasVegasFireandRescue.com. It's always heartbreaking to hear a child that has drowned when there could have been steps they could have taken to prevent that.
I mean, that would be so devastating as a parent. Like, you just walked away and
yeah,
your child's gone, but it's really great that they're going around and helping with that.
Yeah, so hopefully the message will get out there.
Hopefully. Coming up, many states have already legalized it. Is Nevada next? We'll tell you what experts and locals are saying about legalization of the controversial drug. Stay with us. The Southern Nevada Cannabis Operation and Regional Enforcement, or SCORE, has been cracking down on grow houses in Las Vegas. SCORE is comprised of officers from Metro Henderson and the Drug Enforcement Administration, and they are used to enforce the laws enacted by the state in regards to marijuana. If recreational marijuana use becomes legal, there are laws that would need to be changed in order to determine what would be considered a punishable offense regarding possession and amounts that are allowed to be carried at one time. Reporter Clarissa Levitt was able to talk to a few people to see how the legalization of marijuana would affect our valley. Here's what they had to say.
Cut down on people going to prison for petty charges, people having to deal with the criminal justice system that's already like racially motivated and stuff like that.
If they legalize marijuana, I wouldn't be too bothered by it, but the only problem would be just like if anyone's running around and they legalize it, it's just gonna be like a really smelly town. That's what I think, and that's what I feel like that's gonna happen.
As of March, SCORE has seized 1,855 pounds of marijuana and 292.4 pounds of edibles in only 25 grow houses. The question remains whether legalizing recreational use of marijuana will decrease the amount of grow house busts that occur in our valley and whether the laws will change to reflect that legalization.
Finals aren't the only thing stressing out UNLV students this week. They also have to worry about simply finding a parking spot. Reporter Sherelle Moore has the story.
Parking has always been a problem at UNLV. It's caused so much of a ruckus that some students have resorted to off-site parking in residential neighborhoods.
My experiences with parking at UNLV have pretty much been horrible. My reasonings for going to off-site parking are there are not enough spots, or the spots that I get to are further away than the off-site parking would be.
I've seen students parking in the residential areas quite often, and it's really not something that you can get away from, with the exception of doing like parking bans. It's those students that want to park for free, and they're trying to get free parking.
But how do those people that live in these neighborhoods truly feel?
It's not been too much of a hassle to us because we've parked within 3 or 4 car lengths of right here in front. We've heard complaints from some of the other people that, well, yeah, students are in the way, we can't park there, but then it seems like it blows over. As far as my understanding is, it's a public street, so anybody can park there if they want to.
Many students complain about parking, but UNLV's Director of Parking Services has this advice for students.
We focus a lot on alternative transportation, such as car sharing, carpooling. We have the car program called Zipcar on campus. Each day we have approximately 600 to 900 empty spaces out in front here. And with that, there isn't anybody that should have trouble finding a parking place.
When asked about parking, many students shared other concerns, such as small garages and inconvenient locations.
Well, I think the parking is a little bit difficult, especially in the parking garages, because they're really close quarters, so it's hard to turn, especially when it's almost time for your class and you don't get here in the early morning. There's a lot of people taking up space. If you find a space, you might get it stolen from you.
Luckily for those attending UNLV, Parking Services may have a few surprises up their sleeves for the upcoming school years.
We're in the process of increasing the size of the free lot by 128 spaces. We're putting in a new parking lot over southwest of the preschool. Now that lot will initially be designated as staff parking.
Signing off for Studio G, I'm Sherelle Moore.
Here at UNLV can also be expecting a new parking garage to help combat our parking problem. It will be located on Tropicana Avenue across the street from the dorms and is scheduled to be ready in the spring of 2016. Well, hopefully they'll figure out that parking problem we have here.
Finally, that'd be nice. Up next around the area valley, power boxes are getting a makeover. We'll show you who's behind the local beautification project.
Horrible.
I was scared to come home sometimes. The gang knew where I lived.
Mommy said she couldn't afford it, but I want to be a singer when I grow up. I like singing.
I'm not afraid anymore. My life has changed.
My dreams are coming true!
I realize now that my world is so much bigger.
You may have noticed the power boxes around the city turning from gray to pieces of art. This isn't graffiti done by some kids. This is actually a project put on by the city to help beautify Las Vegas. I spoke with one of the power box artists, Gig Dipio, on how this project actually helps stop graffiti.
If you really look deep into the meaning of graffiti, you know, they're not actually dirtying or ruining the community or public things, you know. I think it's more like a mark where, hey, here I am, this is my identity, this is our community, you know, I'm part of a group, I'm part of a gang. And I think the mark of an artist on a Zap box is like a connection with the community, and they see that too, like a mark. And they respect those kind of things, that I'm not gonna mark over a mark.
Gig brings that sense of community to the 4 power boxes he painted that are right next to the Jack in the Box next to UNLV.
I figured I was near UNLV, and you know, I kind of tribute to the arts, because there's a lot of arts going on in UNLV, performing arts, there's visual arts, and there's also writing and poetry, and I thought, you know, I dedicate that to UNLV, and especially this. This is the old logo of UNLV, and kind of that's why there's like that no sign over there. They changed it.
Gig's other 3 power boxes are also representative of UNLV. But Gig and the other artists aren't the only ones bringing community to Las Vegas. He found a sense of community and kindness from an unsuspected spectator.
And actually, what's funny is I had an encounter with one of the homeless people, and she actually, her name is Concho, and she actually bought me a burrito because she knew I didn't have lunch yet, and I was working here all day, and I forgot to bring lunch, and I didn't bring money, and so she asked for $5 from somebody, and she bought me a burrito. It was cool, you know. I thought that was a really good experience.
It seems that these power boxes are already inspiring a sense of community across the valley. You can check out the blooming power boxes all around the city, and for more art from Gig, you can find him on Twitter at GigDipio.
One UNLV student is taking her voice to the water, and we don't mean the shower. Reporter Alexa Vita tells us about this student's special opportunity.
Sarah Shelton has a passion for singing, performing, and learning new things. As a UNLV student, on her free time you can find her hitting the stage or singing in Italian at her new job as a gondolier.
I heard about an audition at the Venetian for the gondoliers, and I went in and I sang for them.
About 100 people auditioned for the position, and only 12 were selected.
Now proud to say I'm working with the Venetian as one of the gondoliers.
She has been in love with showbiz since she was 10 and had the lead part in the musical Annie Jr. Close friend Trey Norman describes the first time he heard her sing.
Her voice was just so moving, and it was, I don't know, kind of was just astonishing for me. Like the whole time she was singing, like I couldn't close my mouth. I was just like.
Although she may have you fooled, she actually has never been to Venice, Italy, but will be traveling to Europe this summer for her business minor.
We're going to be learning about the many different aspects of Poland, business-wise, social-wise, economically.
With a big trip and a dream job, Shelton has a lot to look forward to.
For Studio G, I'm Alexa Vita.
Gondola rides are available at the Venetian during the hours of 10 a.m. and 12 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 10 a.m. through 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. Maybe you'll be seated with Sarah. Oh, that sounds like a cool job to have.
Yeah.
I'd be nervous that I would fall off the boat, though, while doing it. Like, I would
You'd have to balance yourself.
Yeah,
so.
you'd have to probably a lot of practice doing that.
I wonder if they test their balance, too.
Maybe. That would be a great thing to test, because I would be the one to sing and fall off.
Yeah, I'm a little clumsy, so I couldn't.
No, I couldn't do it. But she has a great voice, so.
She does.
Hopefully we'll see her one day.
Hopefully.
To all our friends, family, and fans, thank you for watching this season of Studio G.
But it's not quite over yet. Tune in tomorrow to hear our graduating seniors recap their favorite stories of the season.
Have a great day, Las Vegas. Hi, Mom. So stupid.